This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
The following episode of Charlotte Cooks is brought to you by Central Piedmont Community College and viewers like you. Thank you.
On this episode of Charlotte Cooks, we have Chef Chris Coleman joining us from Stoke. He's making a farmer's market vegetable ragu. Hi there. Welcome to this episode of Charlotte Cooks, and look who we have here. Chef Chris Coleman. Welcome to the set, Chris. How are you?
I'm well. Thanks for having me.
Good. I'm glad you're here. So tell us about this wonderful farmer's market vegetable ragu you're
Sure.
making.
So what we're going to demonstrate today is just really the beauty of vegetables. I love vegetables. Vegetarian cooking is getting hotter and hotter every year.
Big time.
And farm to fork cooking is also, you know, all the rage. It's been the rage for the last 5 years or so, but I think more and more people are getting tuned into it.
You really hear about that a lot with restaurants being a farm-to-fork restaurant. What really does that mean?
For me, farm to fork and sourcing locally is all about just creating relationships and having relationships with farmers markets, different farms, and really getting to know the people who grow your food. Did you know we have over 300 registered small farms in the Charlotte surrounding area? So there's no reason why you can't go to your local farmers market and get anything you need, really.
And there's farmers markets everywhere.
Right.
I mean, just about every street corner now, you've got a farmer's market. So there's something there.
Sure.
It's great.
Yeah, so
and you even find some of our big retail stores and our grocery stores are starting to carry some of the farmer's market produce too,
Yeah,
which is
they
kind
really
of
are.
exciting.
Yeah.
That's very exciting. So carry on.
Yep. So what we're doing today is just some vegetables that we have at the market right now. So there's tomatoes, there's some Crowder peas, corn, peppers. So we're going to start with just caramelizing some mirepoix. Mirepoix is a classic French combination. It's really the basis of all French cooking. It's onions, carrots, celery.
And you want to hear that sizzle when that stuff hits the pan.
Now it's 2-part onion to 1 part carrot and 1 part celery.
Now, is that ratio really hardcore? Can they do something a little bit more lenient than that if they wanted?
It's not super hardcore. That's just the classic.
All right.
Whenever we're sauteing anything, you always want to add a little salt. And salt really helps to bring out the sugars and cook out some of the moisture. We're going to let this saute and sweat.
And what does sweat mean, Chris?
Sure, so sweating...
Besides, I know what sweat means for me, but what does it mean
well,
when you're
if you worked
cooking?
in a professional kitchen, you definitely know what sweating is.
Means.
But sweating is kind of slowly cooking out the vegetables until all of the moisture has been released. You're going to see the carrots and the celery kind of soften, and the onions will actually turn a little translucent where you can see straight through them. Now, I like to start over a higher heat and then turn it down over a low heat to really let the vegetables have some time. You know, there's a lot of things in our lives where we kind of rush, but cooking should be something where you just take your time, have some fun.
And the flavors develop when you take your time.
Sure. So you'll let this sweat for about 5 to 10 minutes or so, and then what we end up with are these really beautiful caramelized vegetables. Again, you can see the onions are translucent, the carrot, the celery has softened a bit.
It looks lovely.
We're going to bring these guys up to heat, and then the next step. So a lot of stewing or creating a ragu is just building flavor and developing flavor, and again, it goes back to not rushing things. So the next step, there's multiple steps in this recipe, but they're all fairly easy. Anyone can do this. We've got some tomato paste. I love tomato paste. It has this really rich, kind of concentrated, deep tomatoey flavor, and really you can do it all year round. It adds a little bit of freshness, acidity, and sweetness to any kind of recipe. But I like to toast the tomato paste first.
So that's what you're doing in the saute pan with it now.
Sure. So you mix it into the veggies.
Okay. And this also helps caramelize some of the sugars in the tomatoes too, doesn't
Right.
it? So we're adding another complexity layer of flavor to this.
Right. So we really want to let this sit for about a minute or so, and then we're going to deglaze.
And what does deglaze mean?
Sure. So as you're caramelizing, all these sugars and things get built up on the bottom of your pan. Deglazing is simply adding some kind of liquid that helps to loosen those brown burnt-on bits from the bottom of the pan, and that's where your flavor is.
That is, all those brown burnt-on bits are, that's flavor, folks. And when you add the liquid to deglaze it, it puts all that flavor back into those vegetables. And so don't ignore that step.
So you can see we're starting to stick there on the bottom.
And that's what you want to see, because that's where your complexity of your sugar flavor is going to come from.
So we're going to use cider vinegar to deglaze. I love cider vinegar. It has a natural sweetness to it because of the apples that are used in the distilling process. You can certainly use a rice wine vinegar or even a balsamic vinegar if you want something a little stronger flavored.
Now, if you were using a rice wine vinegar, would you use the seasoned one or the unseasoned one?
I like unseasoned,
Okay.
just because I like to control the seasoning.
And it's sharp, yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. The seasoned rice wine vinegar has sugar and salt added to it already.
Sure.
But you can add that anytime you want.
So whenever we deglaze, liquid goes in. And you really want to be right on it
Yep.
to scrape up all that burnt on brown bits there.
Ooh. And you can smell that vinegar too.
Yeah. And then actually deglazing with vinegar adds some brightness to it.
Yes, absolutely.
It adds
Absolutely.
acidity and it just kind of livens up the flavors.
Yes, and you need that.
Right,
You
so we're going
need
to turn
that.
this down to low. The ragu's starting to take some form here. You can see
yeah.
that all our vegetables are coated in tomato.
Yeah.
The vinegar is cooked down to what we call al sec.
Yes.
Which means basically almost dry.
Yeah.
We're
It's
using
not
a lot
soupy
of,
on the bottom.
Right, we're using a lot of French cooking terms today.
We are, but you know, we are classically French
Right.
trained, so we can't help ourselves.
So next we're adding 3 more vegetables. So we
Okay.
have some bell peppers,
Okay.
we have a little bit of shucked sweet corn,
Okay.
and we have these beautiful purple beans that have just started to bronze a little bit on the
yeah.
outside. Now, obviously you can use a regular green bean
Right.
if you want, or a flat Italian green bean,
Right.
or really anything. That's the beauty of this particular recipe is it's a jumping off point. Feel free to use anything that you have seasonally around. Sweet potatoes would be great in the fall and winter. Beets when they start to come in early
Yeah.
summer.
It would be delicious with beets, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
it's really just again, this is just a basic. So once you get here to this point with your mirepoix, your tomato paste, your cider vinegar deglaze, you can go from there with any vegetables you like.
Okay.
So again, these are all things that we picked up at our local market.
Are those going to stay purple when they cook?
I wish they would. That would be pretty, wouldn't it?
It would be.
No, purple veggies tend to kind of cook out green.
Oh.
Purple asparagus, purple beans.
But it
and
looks
things.
good while it's cooking.
Right.
And it'll look good when it's done too.
So then we add our corn next.
Okay. And this is just fresh corn you shucked?
This is fresh corn that we
Okay.
shucked and then, got all the silk out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we use the cob to make a really beautiful corn cob stock, and we'll get to that
Okay,
in just a
yeah.
second.
Yeah.
Got some sweet bell peppers here as well.
Now they can use any color pepper if they liked yellow peppers
Sure.
or orange peppers, couldn't they?
Sure.
Okay.
I love the red, especially against the
Yes.
corn and the
Yes.
squash that we're going to add in a minute.
And the beautiful colors. It's so
But
colorful.
really, this has all started to come together.
Yeah.
We turn our heat back
I like
up
a bowl of that just
smidge.
all on its own. It looks delicious.
Then this is the corn cob stock that I mentioned
Okay.
a second ago.
And so how would you make that corn cob stock?
Yeah, so after you shuck the corn,
Mm-hmm.
you take the cobs, toss them in just a smidge of oil on a sheet tray, high heat, about 450 or so in an oven at home, and let them roast until they're nice and brown all the way on the outside. Put them into a large pot, onion, celery, carrot. I like thyme, black peppercorn, and bay for my aromatics.
Nice.
It really kind of rounds it out. You can add a pinch of sugar if you want.
Okay.
Cover it with water, and then let it simmer for about 45 minutes to an hour or so. You've got a beautiful corn stock. The ratio of the corn cobs to the vegetables should be fairly high. It should
Okay.
be, 10 to 1 corn,
Okay.
if you want that corn flavor to come through. But
So you get a really rich corn
you
flavor
get a
from
really
this?
nice corn flavor.
Nice. And you don't have to use corn stock. You can use a vegetable stock.
Of course.
You can use chicken stock.
You can use chicken stock if you like. I would just suggest a lighter flavored stock. You
Okay.
wouldn't want to go to the store or make your own veal stock to put
Right,
in
it's
this.
too
This is great with vegetables, obviously, if we're going vegetarian. Great with chicken, a light chicken. I wouldn't
Right.
go a roasted chicken.
Right.
And then even a fumet or a fish stock would be
Okay.
fantastic. You just want something that's going to add and not take away
Okay.
from the flavor of your vegetables. Again, this is such a simple dish
Right.
that when you have something that is simple, you want the flavors of those ingredients to really
To
come
really
through.
shine, yes, absolutely.
You want to taste the corn and you want to taste the beans and the peas and everything.
Because that's what it's all about.
Right.
That's why it's called a farmer's market vegetable ragu.
Farmers markets, while this is simmering down,
Okay.
again, as you alluded to, they're on every street corner now, especially when it's warmer months outside. But you can find great local produce at your grocery store year round. A lot of our local places have started carrying it and even have put stickers on it so it's easy to find.
Yeah, that's right.
My favorites are the Charlotte Regional Farmers Market
Okay.
and then also the Davidson Market. I think it's
Okay.
great. But if you live in Matthews, if you live in
Yeah.
Concord, if you live in Mount Holly or Gastonia, there's farmers markets
They're all
around
over the
you.
place. And if you don't know what you're looking at, the people at the farmers market will help you and tell you. They really want you to know about what you're seeing. And especially if you see something unusual, ask about it. Ask how you cook it. Ask what it is. Ask how you grow it. Just ask all kinds of questions, because that way you start forming a relationship with the people that grow your food, which is kind of fun.
It is fun, and it's it's good for you. It's good for our
good for
planet.
everybody.
It's good for everybody. Everybody wins.
That's right. And your food's not coming from halfway across the world.
Sure.
That way you know it's fresh.
So these are my favorite thing to eat in the world. Is field peas, and these are a mix of pink eyes and Crowders.
Okay.
They were fresh. These are only available, for a month or so during the year. So you can substitute canned or even dried beans if you
Okay,
like.
so you could.
But these were fresh. They were just cooked in a little bit of this corn stock. Trick to cooking fresh field peas or even dry field peas that you've soaked is no salt anywhere near it, or the pea will seize up and really not cook through.
They won't get soft.
So these were just cooked in some corn stock. After they're turned off, after they're cooked through and creamy, turn them off, then add salt to the water, and the peas will draw in the salt and be perfectly seasoned all the way through. I gotta tell you, I was prepping for this segment last night and cooked off these peas. And
nice.
I ate a bowl about this big with a little
would,
raw
wouldn't
onion
you?
and hot sauce as soon as they came out of the pot.
That's
so
delicious, That'd make a great salad all on its own too,
right.
wouldn't it?
But this is an ingredient that I hated as a kid. My family's from Mississippi, so field peas are kind of a big thing.
Yeah.
And they would, cook them 2 or 3 times a week, and I absolutely despised them. And now I can't get enough. It's funny how something that you hate when you're younger, as you get older,
I was that way with green peas. I couldn't stand them when I was growing up.
Yeah.
Now I love them. I just love them.
So we'll put our peas in there and let that cook down. We have 2 more vegetable ingredients that we're going to add in, but we're going to add right at the end because they're really delicate. We have some yellow squash, some summer squash, and some beautiful heirloom tomatoes here.
Okay.
The squash has been sliced really thinly because I like it for some contrast. Everything else has been pretty uniform. Our onions, our celery, our carrot, our peas, our corn, all about the same size.
Okay.
The squash is a little different. It kind of, because it's sliced so thinly, it kind of folds through like ribbons, which is fun. And then the tomatoes, we don't really want to cook. We just want to warm them through so they keep their nice, delicate, freshness,
Now,
brightness.
do you have to seed and peel the tomatoes, or do you just chop them?
I don't. I mean, you could if you wanted to go to some extra work.
Right.
I don't. These are just chopped up.
Okay.
I find a lot of flavor in tomatoes are in the skin, so I hate to throw that away.
And the tomatoes this year are so delicious,
Right,
especially
they're
these
really,
big
really nice.
heirlooms. Oh my goodness, that's what I had for dinner last night. Was a great big,
That's just big
one of those
heirloom
Cherokee
tomato?
tomatoes, the big brown ones. Oh, they were so good.
And then we're going to finish the whole thing with a little bit of butter, some lemon juice to brighten it.
Oh, the
but,
purple on the beans is gone.
The purple's gone.
It's all gone now.
Sad face.
Oh.
This dish is fantastic as a side dish. I love just eating a big bowl for myself for dinner again.
I would, yep.
Trying to be a little healthier now. I'm 35. I've got 2 kids.
I was going to say, you got a couple kids,
I'm trying to eat a little healthier when I can. So
Yeah.
I've been eating more vegetarian lately, but
Yeah.
it's fantastic as a side dish for your favorite grilled protein.
Okay.
At the restaurant, we serve it with pan-seared sea scallops
nice.
and a little corn sabayon, which is kind of like a hollandaise. It's great with chicken, it's great with shrimp, really anything. It just, again, fresh vegetables, not done too much to them. Obviously, we're just adding them into the pot and building layers of flavor, but this is cooking that anyone can do. This is cooking that you can do
This
at
is
home.
easy. It's one pot.
Right.
Yeah. And so if someone made this much, and say they only had themselves and maybe one other family member,
Sure.
how long would this last in the refrigerator, and would it get better with age?
Sure. So safe cooking is 7 days, including the day you made it, right? You want to get rid of anything that's been sitting around for longer than 7 days. This gets better every single day. So
Kind of like a pasta sauce, right?
Right. So I love making something that's in a larger batch like this and just scooping a little bit out every day. It's fantastic.
So one day you could have it as lunch, then you could put it with the chicken, you could put it with some fish, you could put it with the scallops.
Once it's cold in the fridge, you could pull it right out and toss it with some lettuce and some vinaigrette.
cold salad.
It's a fantastic cold salad.
Yeah, so it's quite versatile.
It really is.
So
now
the
we're going to
squash.
turn the heat off. And the reason we're doing that, again, the squash is so thinly sliced. We really don't want it to cook. We just kind of want it to wilt from the heat of the stew. Some tomatoes. This is a beautiful striped variety.
It looks gorgeous. Look at it. And so the heat is off. Now you're just folding it in, and the
Right.
residual heat from the product itself is actually going to cook the rest of that. Oh, it looks yummy. Doesn't that look good?
So it's kind of like Southern ratatouille, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone's familiar with ratatouille
Yeah.
from, you know, obviously the movie, but
And
you
real
know,
traditional French ratatouille takes hours to
Right.
make. And this obviously
And this is like
not
a 30-minute
hours.
meal here,
Yeah,
so.
exactly. Exactly.
we're gonna add a smidge of butter,
Okay.
just a smidge of butter. That just adds a little bit of fat.
It's going to round out the flavors.
Exactly.
It's going to give
It
you a nice
pulls
mouthfeel.
everything together.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know, fat coats your palate, it coats your tongue when you eat it.
And if you didn't want to do dairy, you could leave it out, couldn't
Of
you?
course, you could totally leave it out.
Yeah.
When I'm cooking with butter or dairy, I do like to always add a little acid at the end.
Okay.
Not so that it cooks out, but just so it stays there and it's really bright and fresh
Okay.
and kind of pulls everything together.
And that's a good trick to do if you're ever making a dish like any kind of lentils or any kind of a vegetable dish, and it seems kind of flat when you're tasting it. Just give it a splash of some kind of acid, whether it's lemon juice like Chris is doing here, or a little splash of vinegar to it. It really will brighten up and make all those flavors just sing instead of just being flat on your palate.
So we're going to finish with some salt as well. Salt and acid. If you go down to Stoke, which is inside the Marriott City Center, my cooks will tell you that my mantra is salt and acid. Everything salt and acid.
Hi, I'm Chris, salt and acid.
Salt and
Coleman.
acid, right. And there we go. And again, this is, you know, a perfect little companion dish. A
Oh,
perfect,
look at that.
You know, it's almost a soupy, so you could eat this if it was a, you know, kind of a cold, rainy day. Tuck it into a bowl of this, it would be fantastic.
Be great with a piece of grilled chicken too, because you
Sure.
got all that wonderful sauce. Are you ready to plate up?
Let's plate up.
Nice big bowl. Oh, yum.
So we're gonna go veggies right in.
Okay. Here's another bowl.
And then I like to get some of that juice.
Yes, put some of that juice in there.
Acts as a nice sauce for whatever meat you want to serve it with, or again, you know, a little bit of bread to soak it up.
Now, do you need to put any herbs in here? It looks like it's really full flavor.
It's
It
pretty
already
full
is.
of flavor. You could
Okay.
certainly finish this off with, you know, some parsley. I love a mixture of parsley, tarragon, and chives. It's kind of my
Ooh, that would be
go-to
lovely,
soft
yes.
herb mix.
Especially if you're serving it all by itself, right?
Right. Again, I think there's so much flavor in these vegetables. that-
Especially when you get them fresh from the market. Oh, yes. This looks great, doesn't it?
There we go.
All right, here we go. Look at our farmer's market vegetable ragu. Doesn't that look delicious? You guys can get these recipes on our website at pbscharlotte.org. Boy, this looks delicious.
Thank you.
Doesn't it look great? Oh my goodness, I can't wait to try it. So, farmer's market summer vegetable ragu. Yum. You got to try these beans and peas together, and the tomato. Oh, you got to get everything in the bite.
There's so much flavor and
Mm-hmm.
texture.
And it all stands out. Wow, it's wonderful.
Thank you very
Yummy.
much.
So, Chris, tell me, what do you think is happening in the Charlotte's food scene right now?
I think Charlotte is it's exploding right now. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
it's you know, Food and Wine just said that 2018 was Charlotte's breakout year for food. So
Okay.
I think there's a lot of chefs in town. There's a lot of you know, instructors who
Mm-hmm.
are really kind of helping to put Charlotte on the map. And what I find so exciting is that it's the sense of we're all in it together.
Yeah.
You know, whether we were born here like me or we moved here, we want Charlotte to succeed.
We
you know,
do.
we're all proud of
We
our
do.
little city here in
We
North
are.
Carolina. So
We are. And one thing, I moved here probably maybe 12 years ago, and Charlotte was still fledgling and trying to identify itself as a food scene. And I really think it's grown up now, and it's really truly identifying itself. It's not just Southern food anymore. It's not just fried. It's not just comfort. It's not just country food.
Right.
It's really gotten quite sophisticated.
yeah, there was this kind of sense of Charlotte was a banking town, so it was meat and potatoes,
Right.
or it was that meat and three, like you
Right,
just kind
the
of
meat and
touched
three,
on,
yes.
which which I
yes,
love
yes,
a meat
yes.
and three. Don't
Yeah,
get me wrong, but
right.
you know, it's Charlotte's really growing up as kind of a new southern city, and
is.
that's what our cuisine is. It's it's new southern or modern southern, as I call it.
is,
So
yep.
it's taking steak and potatoes and meat and three, and it's adding like all these awesome cultures that are
Yeah.
they're moving to Charlotte and making it home. So we have fantastic, you know, obviously European influences, but then African and East Asian and West Asian and South American and African cuisine, and
You can
it's
find
fantastic.
it all here.
Yeah, it's
you can
fantastic.
find it all here, and it's all you have to do is decide what you want to eat. But even then, that's the hard part. You know, just I think I encourage everybody to go out and try these new restaurants that are opening, because all the chefs that are there are doing a marvelous job.
Right. We're all
a
just
marvelous job.
working our butts off to make sure that, you know, that we look good. So
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Charlotte looks good. so.
Absolutely. So, Chris, how did you get started in cooking?
I've always loved food since I was a kid. I came from a family that that loved food and appreciated sitting around a meal table together like we're doing right now. After high school, I decided to go to culinary school. Looked at several options, but settled on CPCC because it has a great track record of putting out some fantastic chefs and has really established itself in the city as a leader.
It has.
So I graduated from CP 2005. Got a job at McNinch House Restaurant,
Okay.
which is right uptown in Charlotte's
It
Fourth
is.
Ward area. I was named executive chef there when I was 21.
Nice.
So, you know, I mean, a little bit of luck, a little bit of talent, but
A
you
lot
know,
of
right
talent.
place at the right time. And was given the chance there to kind of figure out who I was as a chef. I worked there for 9 years
Oh, good.
under Ellen Davis, and she let me just kind of decide what my path was and who I was as a chef. Left there in 2014 to open up the Asbury
Okay.
at the Dunhill Hotel, and then just most recently now at the Marriott City
Okay.
Center, where we opened up Stoke.
They're not letting you out of Uptown, are they?
No, I can't get out. I can't get out of the 277 loop. I keep trying, but
Oh, wow. All right. Well, once again, I really, really do appreciate you coming and sharing this beautiful dish with us. And I really hope people come into the restaurant and try it, especially with your scallops and your corn sabayon that goes with it. Oh, geez, that has just got to be outrageous. And I really thank everything that you do for our students, because I know our students are bugging you like crazy to get jobs over there with you. But I really appreciate everything you do for us. And hopefully we'll get you back on the show again.
Sounds
okay?
good.
All right.
Fun.
Sounds real good. All right. So let's enjoy this. Okay?
A production of PBS Charlotte.